Thank you, Barry. All right, man, I am so fired up. You know, I woke up this morning, and I feel like I've been here for 5 days. Anyone already feel like that? It's like, you know, like, no, this is only the third day. Anyway, so I'm going to introduce Craig and Caleb, and again, I'm going to say this again. This is like so cliche for me, but this young man, Caleb, I'm so proud of this young man, and he's not even my son, but I wish he was. This guy's incredible. I asked him last night, I said, are you married? He's like, no. And I'm like, you do have a girlfriend? He goes, yeah. Because I was like, I want to introduce him to Candace. I was like, I love this kid. The Candace, get to know Caleb more. So I've been watching Craig, Huey, and his son for years and years and years, and I admire and I respect them, and I love them because they're men of faith, as well as they help people with their marketing and have been forever. And because of that, they perpetuate what? Free and what? Capitalism. They help create jobs. They help stimulate the economy. They help things go around. That's what makes America great. So I'm not going to steal much more of their thunder because they're going to blow your mind with how we can use the old school marketing. I used to do 500,000 pieces of direct mail a month back in the 80s. That's how I built my brokerage firm. So without further ado, welcome to the stage Craig Huey and his son Caleb.
All right. Thank you. Well, good morning.
Good morning.
How many of you think there's something different or better that you should be doing in 2000 to market your product or service?
Absolutely.
That's a good starting point for this morning, because there's so many new things or twists on old things that you should be doing. And we're going to be covering those things that are going to be able to help you be more successful. And we've identified 17 of these, well, I'll call new trends. You may go, wait a minute, direct mail is not a new trend, but there's new things about direct mail and make them work. And we're going to take a look at these things. Let me ask you a question. How many of you are marketing to consumers, have a company that markets to consumers? Okay. How many have a company that markets business to business? All right. How many of you have audiences that are less than 50,000 prospects? Okay. How many of you have audiences that are maybe over 5 million prospects? Okay. You can see we have a wide variety of people here. And these strategies, these tactics we're going to talk about are going to apply, and I'm going to make sure, and I want you, you know, until Greg starts saying I'm running out of time, I want you to be able to ask questions at how something we're talking about applies to you. So we're going to take a look at these different trends, and when we talk about it, we're talking about reinventing your marketing in 2016. If you're not reinventing your marketing in 2016, you're falling behind. And when we talk about it, the first one is how to use marketing and advertising for raising capital. We're going to be talking a bit about that. Now, if that's of interest to you, you got to listen very carefully. And we wrote this report, 16 Secrets in Raising Capital. And you all are welcome to do it. Basically, it's a step-by-step guide to marketing to raising capital. And we have a webinar that does the same thing. And the second part of this is re-examining your company's current marketing. What are you doing right now to bring in people, new customers? What are you doing to expand and grow and become more profitable? And what we're going to cover are the things that you need to be doing in 2016. The worst thing to do is continue on with that that has not been working well, right? So let's break out of that. Let's look at the new things. So when we start off, Greg has taught you well, I'm sure, about what the number one blunder is that marketers make. What do you think the number one blunder is? Anybody? Yes?
They keep doing things that are not working.
Great blunder. And it's so true. I see it over and over and again. That they plateau or they never grow or they're not growing as fast because so much of their marketing and advertising is wasted. Wasted money, wasted time. We don't have a lot of time to waste. You know, the Bible says life is like what?
Like a vapor.
Like a vapor. Your need to be able to move ahead, that's what we're going to talk about. What other blunder could there be? I'm looking for another one. Yes?
They don't know who they're marketing to.
Marketing to the world.
Marketing to the wrong people, maybe marketing the wrong strategy or techniques to these people, maybe not identifying the cream of the people. Okay? Yeah. Go real quick. Yes.
Copy or content of their marketing.
Blunder of marketing is, if you don't have the right copy, we're going to cover a little bit about direct response copy, and I know Greg did too. I'm going to give you a few of the essentials. The most important thing for any of you is to become a critic of copy. You don't have to write copy. It's, I tell you, great copywriters make millions of dollars because they know how to write copy. Chances are you cannot write great copy. But you can be a great critic of copy and understand when that copy is not right. And every one of you need to know these principles we're going to talk about. Yes?
Focusing on the company rather than what the company can do for the reader.
Oh, he nailed such a critical thing, is that we are so close to our product or service. It's hard to put ourselves in the shoes of our prospect. What we see as being an incredible product or service, your prospect looks, what are you talking about? So we'll cover a little bit of that. But here's the thing. Most companies do not have set in place what we call scientific advertising or accountable advertising. You should never sit back and wonder, is my advertising working or not? That is such a misuse of your resources. What you need to always be able to do is you never do what's called image advertising. That's what almost every ad agency in the world does. That's what most companies do. They sit back and think, how do we make this ad pretty? How do we make this marketing really nice? It doesn't produce sales. And it doesn't show itself to be accountable. Accountable advertising, scientific advertising, that's what we're going to be talking about. It's a whole different way of thinking about marketing, and it's called direct response advertising. Now, what's interesting is that when I started off in the advertising world, I started off with direct response advertising. I was lucky enough to be discipled by some of the great geniuses in direct response. And what's interesting is, as Caleb's involved in marketing, the whole world is shifting towards accountable advertising. And well, it should. You always need to know your cost per sale and your cost per lead. And if you don't have in place the ability to know that if you spent $10,000, how much money did you get back? Did you get back $5,000? Did you get back $15,000? You always need to be able to know. So with direct response advertising, it's multimedia. You always take a look at that cost per lead and cost per sale, and then you also determine the lifetime value of a customer. How much reordering will that customer give to you? Will that customer be with you for a year, 2 years, 5 years? You start developing knowing how much money you can spend to be able to get a new client. And we always are taking a look at having you review what you're doing and how you position yourself in the marketplace. Maybe your positioning in the marketplace for 2016 has to be different than it was last year. So as we take a look at this, we're going to start looking at these trends and take a survey of the trends to see if you are doing these trends. Are you utilizing these trends? One of the great trends today is integrated direct marketing. Integrated direct marketing. And with integrated marketing, what you're doing is you're doing marketing that's complementing itself. Now, I wish you could see that graphic a little bit better. I'm not sure. It might be on your handout. Be sure you take a look at the handout. Basically, what you have is modeled and optimized data, and this can be business to business or consumer. And what we're going, if you want to move closer to be able to see these slides better, feel free to do so. What you'll see is cost per lead, cost per sale, direct response copy and art, the offer, the landing page, banner ads, Facebook, email, direct mail, research. All this is part of a campaign revolving around the modeling. I just did another chart like that for a client that we included, TV and a few other media. Yes?
Sorry, Craig, are you providing the slides and all, or giving them all the other?
Anybody who wants a copy of one or more of the slides is welcome to give me their card, let me know, I'll be glad to do it. But this is critical to be able to have an integrated campaign. We just did a campaign that involved a direct mail campaign, and to the same names we used email, to the same names we served banner ads, to the same names we served Facebook newsfeed, and then we had a retargeting campaign where the ad was following them over the internet. I'll talk about each of these medias in a moment, but just think of it. You're a prospect, and all of a sudden you get a direct mail piece. And you say, wait, I just got an email a couple of days ago telling me this was coming in the mail. And then a couple of days afterwards, you say, I got another email talking about that mailing piece I got. And then you're seeing, every time you're going on Facebook, you're seeing something about that company. And then you're getting banner ads to you all about that company. And when you have this multimedia impact, and you're seeing what the cost per lead and cost per sale is, you're getting more customers faster at a lower cost per lead and a lower cost per sale than if you were doing just one of those media. So the integrated marketing is critical. And I want Caleb to start off explaining about this modeling. How many of you know about, Caleb criticizes me for saying modeling. We're not talking about a male or female model. Data modeling. How many of you know about data modeling? Okay, we got a couple of hands in here. Data modeling, I'll just preface this with this, has been around for about 20 years. But it wasn't until the last 18 months that it's been perfected to the point where it's scary. You know, I am a critic of the NSA and their spying and them being able to have your data. But it's kind of like what they're doing only in the private sector. We know so much about you that we can determine what you're going to buy. And that's critical as a business owner to success in 2016. You want to explain it?
Sure. Hi, I'm Caleb. I want everybody to participate for a second. How many of you have bought Nikes or Adidas or some kind of running shoe? Raise your hand. Yeah? All of you that raised your hand, you're a sportswear buyer. We're going to tag you as that. How many of you have bought a stock with a brokerage account? You guys? Okay. So now you guys are investors. Okay. Every time you buy something, it's tagged with big data companies. We know if you are inclined to buy baby clothes. We know if you're inclined to drink coffee. So we can put together a data model of different kinds of buyers and then target them intelligently. So old direct response, you buy a list from a company that has their buyer list. Every buyer list now is held with a big data company. Because anytime you make a transaction with your credit card, it's tagged. So we know who you are, what you buy, what you like, what you're interested in. So when a client comes to us, we're able to say, I want all investors that like product X, and I can target them to raise funds under the Jobs Act. I can also say I want somebody that has a high net worth. I want them to have a $3 million net worth or above. We can go very deep into this data modeling. There are two different kinds of ways of using that data, and there are several big data companies that have these meta tags on all of us that we can draw from. One of them is Oracle, one of them is iBehavior, Abacus, different names for these different companies, and we always test those companies when we do a campaign, because sometimes one company has a better grasp on that demographic than another company. That goes back to the basic direct marketing principles of testing. With the data modeling, we can either put together what we have as a best guess for your audience. We can say, I think that my product would resonate well with people that buy sportswear and baby clothing, let's say. Or what we can do is we can take your current prospect list, and this is what's going to get you the best response. If you have 2,000 people that have already bought some product or service of yours, we can take that list of people, see what spending habits they have in common, which creates a whole spending profile of who your ideal customer is, and then only market to people that are not your customers that have those spending habits. That is a behavior model. That's a model that focuses on the actual buying habits of people. It's not guessing, it's scientific. So when we have done that in the past, we've been able to take companies that were getting a 0.8% response using traditional marketing to direct response lists, and we modeled their existing database and brought them over a 2% response with direct mail for that first campaign. Did phenomenally well, translated into millions and millions in new revenue for our client, and we've worked with him for a very long time, so he's very happy.
I should add with this that I don't know if, does anybody in here have a database of customers that are over 3,000 names? Okay, so you have a database of customers over 3,000. Most people using the data modeling don't have that type of customer base, and we come up with phenomenal results. But if you have 3,000, we can create the exact lookalike. And not only that, one of the things under the Jobs Act, dozens and dozens of companies right now are going to their database and they're having identification of who the accredited investor is on their database. And then from there, we have a Jobs Act to that database, because they already have an understanding of who you are.
Jobs Act, meaning we're going to solicit them to invest in your company.
That's
So
right,
your own
because they already
clients.
know who you are and they love you. And you're more likely to get that 100,000 from them than from somebody who doesn't know who you are. Anybody hear of a company called Newsmax? Newsmax is a conservative publication with Chris Ruddy. And and how about World Net Daily? Those are two companies where they have giant databases, and we're talking about identifying the accredited investor and then sending a special solicitation just to the accredited investor under the Jobs Act to people who love them, asking them to partner with them for expansion and growth. You see how powerful that is? I don't care if you're selling what type of widget. That company knows who you are, and you'd be shocked how they would be most interested in partnering with you.
And all of this is possible because of these big data companies that collect all of this crazy and scary amount of information on all of us. But
Walking through that.
for marketing purposes, it's great. This kind of shows a breakdown of people that would be an ideal customer. I was going to touch on another piece real quick, that I want you to raise your hand if you've ever been at a store and they offer you 15 or 20% discount if you type in your phone number. Raise your hand. Have you you've done that? Have you typed your phone number in? Yeah. Have you ever put your email in for the same thing? Great. Those big data companies now have your email and your telephone number, and you probably put your cell phone number in. So you're going to get a call probably from me
Or
sometimes.
text.
Or a text. They have your email, they have your address, they have your cell phone number, and they have your IP address. And all of those things we're going to use to target you when we want to target you heavily with multiple media. And do you want to walk through this demographic?
Well, sure. So here we have Megan in Oregon. She moved to Portland from California in 2013. She takes travel magazines, $350,000 a year income, net worth of $5 million. Uses, she's direct response. She's direct mail responsives. She buys
Which
things
means
in the mail.
she has bought in the mail in the last 12 months.
She spent $150 on denim jeans, size 12, May 2015. Her email, we know she's donated $750 to animal welfare organizations. She spent $300 on global items, spent $70 on organic cotton, and $2,000 on home furnishings using Amex. And she participated in a monthly wine club. One of our clients is Wine of the Month Club. Wine of the Month Club, you know, participating in these data, you can't ask for their mailing list. They won't give it to you. But if you're trying to find people who like wine because you have a travel club and you have something where that seems to match your demographic, they're part of that database and modeling. So it becomes something where we have a lot of things to identify, and we can find out exactly who they are to be able to get the ideal look-alike customer. It reduces your cost and your risk.
This is just an example that we've been able to double the response rates by modeling lists instead of using traditional direct response. Was there a question, Jordan?
Yeah, quick question on the,
Yeah.
on the previous slide. Is there a resource that we can understand, like, what is our digital footprint?
Sure.
So we can understand what is our avatar that, you know, big data scientists are using.
What meta tags are assigned to your record specifically?
There's no way you can know.
Yeah.
The company like Oracle, they have behavioral scientists and engineers that are doing these modeling.
Yeah.
There are some subjective issues that are involved in how they determine this stuff. But it basically, with several thousand bits of data on you, if I can identify 30 or 40, I probably have the ideal customer. So my marketing for one client now, for example, has shifted from 100% rented names the traditional way to probably 30% the traditional way, and the rest are the modeled names now, because the modeled names give a higher response rate. All right, so Greg's touched on the landing page. This is a company that we made into a multi-million-dollar corporation, and it's a company where we've done the multimedia. And it's a company where they used to drive people to their website, and it depressed their response.
I call it the online brochure.
An online brochure. Some of the problems with this, of course, is that you can see on the website on the left, which they were very proud of, has navigation choices. Anytime you allow a prospect to have a navigation decision, you're probably going to lose a prospect. You want to have direct response sales copy, no navigation choices, and a clear call to action of generating that lead, either the phone call, that email address, or other types of ways of getting them into your database. Now, really, the foundation of any campaign is not your website, it's that landing page. That's absolutely critical. So corporate sites are anti-marketing sites. They're death to any marketing campaign. And some clients, the call to action is that phone call. Some clients, collecting a database by offering a premium. Sometimes it's both. but you've got to make sure you're not using your corporate landing page. Now, the other trend, Caleb, you want to talk about, yeah, I'll show this video log. I'll let you do video, I'll do the video log. So, there's always new trends in direct mail, right? So, imagine you've got a small group of people that are quality prospects. Imagine that you send them a direct mail piece. We've got a letter in here, plus you've got this. This can be thinner, this can be bigger, it can be smaller. Looks innocent enough, right? You open it up.
Wow.
And the video automatically plays.
I want that.
Now, Caleb's going to talk about the power of video marketing. But imagine, you know, we've done over 400 videos because they're so powerful. I'll tell you later how we use the videos. But can you imagine the impact on your audience this would have? Now, right now, these are very expensive. So you're going to have a big margin and a small audience. In about 3 to 4 years, this will be down so that you can send it to anybody. The latest technology, and technology moves fast, is not only do you open it up and you have the video, but you also have a button here that you can push to make an immediate phone call to your call center or to your salesperson. So they don't have to pick up their cell phone. They don't have to think about it. They just push, and immediately you connect. Is that powerful? And that video screen can be as big as this. It can be smaller than what you saw. We've done 13 infomercials. We can do an infomercial on this. We can do a 3-minute commercial on this. It's a powerful mechanism to be able to involve the prospect. So this is called the video log. Kind of fun, huh?
Yeah. Wow.
What's it cost?
The cost of it.
Caleb?
It depends on how many you print. I mean, this goes for any direct mail piece. If you're doing 10,000 of them, it's going to cost a lot less per piece than if you're doing 100. So
For 10,000 approximate cost.
it'd be in the $50 per piece range. So very expensive when you start adding everything up.
At the 10,000 level?
Yeah, and that's why we're looking to work with someone in China that can possibly do it for
To get the prices
cheaper.
down. The technology is there. Prices are high right now.
It just needs
but
to be
I will tell you
duplicated
this.
for cheaper.
If it's within your budget, what's great about this is this. We know that when we come up with something new to an audience, we get higher response than when everybody does it. Whatever your audience is, if you're the first that they open this up and see it, you command their immediate attention. And I don't care if it's a 3-minute video, I don't care if it's a 30-minute video, they're going to sit there and watch that thing. And they're going to probably respond. So your response rate is going to be very high. Now, we're trying to do this for a fundraising group back in Washington, D.C., and some business-to-business people are doing this right now. Cars like the one that you see there are doing it. The pharmaceuticals are doing it because they have big budgets. Now, digital video explosion. Caleb, you want to talk about the power of video?
Sure. How many of you are used to a talking head? Yeah, and would you guess that a spokesperson talking to you about a product or service is going to work better than simply text? Who thinks that? Raise your hand if you think that. Yeah. So throughout our testing, because we test every client, we test having a talking head and having a spokesperson, which we believe in as a principle of marketing. For every direct mail piece we do, we say, let's put a spokesperson for this company on there. When we do a test these days, we find that having a simple stripped down video with just text and a voiceover behind it reading that text to you is getting a better response. We don't know why, but that goes back to our principles of testing and letting the marketplace decide what's going to work best for your product or service. So what we found is that people don't click off of the video when they're reading the information. They're digesting it and being reinforced by that voiceover, and they finish the video. We have 30-minute videos that people will say, if we have good direct response copy that continues to hook them again and again, that they'll sit through that entire presentation and still not learn what the thing is that they clicked on to learn, and they have to then sign up for it. Then we get their information, or we get that sale, or we generate that prospect. So video, we can do a 3-minute video, which is usually what we do for a campaign. We put that video on the landing page. We also put a picture of that video on a banner ad, and we found that all of these things increase response. A lot of the time, even with a banner ad, if you have a picture of that video and say, watch the video, they'll click on the banner ad, they'll see the video up on the right-hand corner of our landing page, but they won't click the video. They'll start reading the landing page and sign up anyway. So it increases response whether or not they even watch the video, and ultimately it lowers the cost per lead and cost per sale. And that's the name of the game, of everything that we do. So.
And here's one of the key things. Not only is it able to give you higher conversion rates when you have video, the fact is that, did you hear what he said about the banner ads? You get more people clicking on the banner ads if they see that there's a video there. And so with the banner ads, I guess we don't have a copy of it. Oh. When we get to the banner ads, you'll see video examples. And with the banner ads, they're not the only things. Email as well. We get a higher number of people responding to the email when they see that there's a video if they click. So it's powerful. How many of you have seen videos that have a commercial just before them? Growing trend. Google has that. And the Bahamas Travel Board, for example, has spent over $1 million. They're getting a conversion rate of 8 cents per lead. Very good, very powerful, one of their most powerful media that they're using. And Google will find people who would be prospects for travel to the Bahamas. And so those ads are served. And you have to watch that video for 5 seconds before you're charged. So being able to use some of the new technological advances is one of the trends that we're recommending. With Google, it's called Google TrueBlue.
TrueView.
Yes.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the banner ads?
Sure. When I mentioned the video and the text, the plain text on a PowerPoint, we found the same thing is true with banner ads. And when we talk about direct response advertising versus image advertising, we tell a lot more than just having a pretty image of Coca-Cola. We would talk about the benefits of a product or service, and we have some kind of wow factor with a headline that piques your interest and says, I want to learn more about this. So again, if you notice on the left, this one we had a picture of the video. We tested it with his face, without his face, with the video piece underneath him, without it, and we found what works best, which is a headline that's capturing, sub-copy that leads you in. They see there's a video, they click, they either watch the video, and what we found is most of the time they don't. They end up just reading the landing page, and that gets a better response every time. So when we do banner ads, we start with a copy. It looks boring, but it sells more, and that's what's most important.
You know, I get people coming to me, I wanted to have a banner ad that was exciting and pretty and had this magnificent image, and you won't get any response. So it's the informational value-added approach that we'll be talking about. The one on the right is with Arthur Blessed, a famous evangelist. And notice at the bottom it says, click here to watch now. And it's talking about incredible journey caught on video. And this works so powerfully well. Caleb, why don't you explain a bit about remarketing? Because you all know what it is. You've been on the website and you see this company's ad following you around. I'm hoping every single one of you are doing that now, because it is the most powerful marketing tool that has made banner ads really work.
Yeah, raise your hand if you've seen that. Yeah? So I'll tell a story. Shelly, my stepmom, she doesn't shop online. That's not her thing. She likes going into a store and looking at something and making a decision that way. She clicked on a landing page for a company for these jeans, and she took a look at the jeans, wasn't interested, clicked off, started doing whatever she was doing. She was looking things up online. That banner ad, that pair of jeans that she was looking at, a picture of it and text about those jeans followed her everywhere she went. And a week later, at the door were the jeans. my dad thought that was funny. When we do a remarketing campaign, there are a few ways to do it. We can wait for somebody to land on your landing page, which indicates some level of interest, and then we embed that remarketing code so it will follow you from website to website thereafter. Another way we can do this kind of remarketing is leveraging the big data that I mentioned. I said that we have your IP address. So I can say I want to remarket to a group of people that I think would be good prospects. So these aren't people that found you or saw an email and said, I'm interested in learning more, and got to your website. But these are people that I'm going to now solicit coldly with a banner ad. And I will go from website to website before they indicate any interest. Once they click on your landing page, I embed the remarketing code, and I have a different banner ad that follows them from website to close them as a new client or sale. The power of remarketing can be used for banner ads, which I'm sure you're familiar with the side banner ad. It can also be used for Facebook. So let's say you take a look at those jeans but decide not to buy them. You go onto your Facebook page, but then in your news feed, those jeans appear again. So you can't get away from it. There are many platforms that you can use to do this kind of remarketing, and a majority of our clients, if they're using it, they increase their sales dramatically.
I tell you, just on the shopping cart itself, do you know how many people come to your shopping cart and abandon it? It's probably 50, 60, maybe even 70%. But when they see that ad, over half of those who abandon the shopping cart make that purchase. That's a powerful statistic.
For the example of the jeans, that's what had happened. In the shopping cart, if you put a special remarketing code on that shopping cart, then you can have the exact item that that person was looking to check out with follow them around. So if they didn't make that decision the first time, they're going to make it in the next few days.
Yes, Lee.
Can that ad follow-up be changed?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So the
You
first
want to
time-
change it because you don't want
we
them to see the
rotate
same
our
ad
ads.
3 months in a
Yes.
row. That's one of the big
Yeah.
mistakes when people do retargeting. You want to change it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. The Facebook targeting. How many of you? Yes.
I get it.
Yes.
One quick question. Number one, what are the basic economics of that? How much does it cost to do that type of marketing?
Here's
Very
my
little.
simple answer to it. It looks like you're a multi-million-dollar corporation when you see that ad following you around. The reality is, it's pennies. When you see the proposals that we provide a prospect to become a client, and we have that part of the marketing budget, what is it usually? $4,000 or $5,000?
To create the ads and do
Well,
a
no, not to
remarketing
create,
campaign.
for the media cost.
I can tell you that we're doing a $500,000 campaign, and I'm spending about $4,000 of that on remarketing for the entire prospect list that we're going out to.
Yeah.
It's very cheap compared
It's
to
cheap.
everything else that we're doing.
It's cheap. Because remember, how many people are going to your landing page? And you know, and then when the ad's going around, you're only paying for the ad if somebody's clicking on it. So you know. Now, Facebook. How many of you are on Facebook? I have people who say, you know, my audience, they're like 50, 60, 70, 80 years old. They don't go on Facebook. They go on Facebook. Facebook is beating Google normally on a cost per lead and cost per sale, and is probably doing more to help marketers than Google is. It's some amazing things going on, and it's hard to keep up with. We're going to just talk about a couple of the things that we do with clients that work incredibly well. Caleb?
I was going to show you an example of some remarketing on Facebook with my Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook does remarketing.
How about this? This is my friend. He's telling me about his leather working. Very cool. All right. Good for you, Joey. Here we go. Here's an ad right after that for the Dollar Shave Club. Obviously, I need to shave. This ad has been following me everywhere. Everywhere I go. It's on every website that I'm on. And then as I'm looking at Joey telling me his update on his new leather company, Dollar Shave Club is advertising to me. It's mixed in with the content I'm already reading. So as I'm browsing, if they have a compelling headline or compelling image, I'm going to stop and say, what is that? And so they capture my attention because it's where I'm already at. I'm already looking at the content in my feed. So there are different kinds of ads that you can serve to people. One is that ad that shows up in your news feed. The news feed is where the content is that you're browsing. The other is on the side, one of these banners. Now the banners are cheaper to place, but the news feed ads have a much better conversion and response rate, and ultimately better cost per lead and cost per sale. So I wouldn't shy away from placing things on the right-hand side, but my number one recommendation is always to do a sponsored post or a sponsored ad in the news feed. There are a lot of different strategies which we won't dive deep into for Facebook and responding through Facebook. You can take them to a sub-page or to your page within Facebook, or you can take them to a landing page. If we're taking them to that landing page, we embed the remarketing. They go from website to website again, bringing them back to that landing page. But one thing I want to mention to you is a custom list. How many of you have a prospect list that hasn't converted, or maybe has converted but hasn't reordered in a year? Raise your hand. Yeah? Don't you want them to come back? Yeah? So you can take that list and say, I want to market only to these people in their private Facebooks. So you upload that list into Facebook, and you're only serving ads to that prospect list. So you're not coldly going out into the universe and saying, please look at my product or service, but you're saying, hey, you bought with me in the past, buy with me again. It's time to reorder. So you're marketing to a very select group of people. You're spending a very small amount of money, and you're going to have a much higher conversion rate because they already know you. They've already tried your product. They've already read the sales material. They need to be reminded again and again and again. So this is another tool that you can use to keep your costs down, market to a very specific group of people, and you're going to get a better response.
And you see how targeted it is? You put in your own prospect list. That's why when we do a Jobs Act campaign, those names we mail to, we'll also put into Facebook with the news feed. And then we're always having to keep up. The latest thing, and we haven't done it for any client yet because it's so new, but we're so excited about it. Facebook now, you know, most people, where's your cell phone? Most people are on Facebook what? With their cell phone, right? So Facebook has made it easy for you to take a look at your news feed. You see an ad that you like, you touch the screen, and you immediately either connect or you can make a phone call. You can even make a phone call right away. Hey, I'm interested in this.
There are new technologies too. One fun one that I like is
It tracks when you hit the like button, right? So when
not
you hit-
necessarily, you don't have to like it. You can have an ad that has a direct link to say call now for more information. You
Well,
just click it and call.
My habit is if I want to go back to it later, I hit the like button so I can go back into my...
Sure, yeah.
And then...
And then that
then
company
I-
will aggregate in your feed and update you with their content.
Call those through your computer.
Yes.
You can call through your
Yes.
computer, but that it's specifically designed for the users that are more active on the telephone.
mobile.
So I personally haven't been on my Facebook on my computer in a very long time. I only use it on my phone. I don't
Most are
even
mobile.
think these days
Real
to
quick,
go on my
yes.
computer.
One of the
Time.
companies-
Got it.
Yes.
All right.
One of the companies that I'm involved with, Greg, and there's 75 ads a day in Facebook, and they are amazed at
Yeah.
the response.
Yeah.
We have over a 70% engagement.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
The power. So we're going to speed this up. And so with the Facebook, Caleb's talked about the remarketing. They've got intelligent Facebook insights that help you identify your prospect, the tap to call, and the integrated call to action. All mixed into Salesforce is pretty powerful.
Keep in mind that Facebook itself is a big data company collecting metadata on what you click on, what you like, what you're viewing, so they themselves can target for you without using an Oracle or whatnot. So we can run a campaign using metadata based on what people read and are actively engaged with and target them.
So, of course, email, traditional email from 5 years ago, is starting to fade. As spam filters and people are sitting there and all they're doing is deleting because they're overwhelmed with email. It's critical in email to be able to make sure you have the 3 R's: relevant, reputable, and rewarding, the value. Now, here's the thing. Most people, 18 emails a day they'll take from people that maybe aren't friends or company related. Are you in that category? The only way you can be in that category is if I read your email and I learn something I didn't know before. It's value. You're not trying to take money out of my pocketbook. You're trying to help me. You're trying to inform me. You're trying to educate me. You're telling me something I didn't know that's of value to me. It's a different way of thinking. We do this value-added approach for the landing page, for direct mail, but you got to do it for email, because if I know that second or third email I get from you, you're just selling me and selling me, you're deleted and you're gone forever. The value of your email list goes down, down, down unless you are providing value in every communication. So with the email, this is an example of an email going to somebody who you're sending a direct mail piece to. So with this one for the Cabot Market letter, here's a copy of the mailing piece that they're receiving. So it's saying, it's going to be in your mailbox. It should be in your mailbox. We haven't heard from you since we mailed it to you.
Now, I'll say that, again, this Facebook campaign, these email campaigns, everything that we're talking about, the foundation when we target people is that direct mail. That's where it all starts. So once I rent a direct mail name, I can leverage all of the other pieces to help increase the response. But the main driver, every time that we do a campaign, is the direct mail. And subject lines, we like to track those subject lines with our direct mail, sometimes before we go to print, because if we're doing a big print job, we'll want to know what's going to work best in print. So we'll test the subject lines, see which one gets a better response, and whatever does, that's what we put on the front of the piece. That way we don't waste money printing, blindly testing the A-B split. We'll go into the mail with an A-B split we know is already a winner. So these are different subject lines that we've tested.
We don't have much time.
Yeah.
I do want to do this test. And then we're going to really have to speed through this, Caleb.
Yeah.
These are 4 different tests of subject lines. You know, I don't want to get political, Greg. I don't want people to be upset here. But I think Obama has been the biggest disaster for free enterprise and our for free individual freedom. It's a nightmare. But there's one good thing he did. He signed the Jobs Act, and there's one good thing that you can learn from him. He transformed politics because he had the best, most advanced marketing team ever assembled. People from Google, from Microsoft, from Facebook, the best of the best worked on his team. And he perfected email. And I'm a student of what they did and what they're doing now. And it's unbelievable. The hundreds and hundreds of tests that they did. And the one principle you can all learn from that, never do a campaign without testing. In the case of email, one of the most important one is subject lines. So in this case, crisis unfolds, Carter era inflation on the way, bailout nightmare, your wealth is in jeopardy, free market nightmare, socialism style bailout, how to protect yourself from profit in 2015. How many think the top one was the winner? Raise your hands. How many, do I have to read them again? Time! Crisis unfolds, Carter era inflation on the way, bailout nightmare, your wealth is in jeopardy, free market nightmare, socialism style bailout, how to protect yourself and profit in 2015. How many think the top one was the winner? Crisis unfolds.
No one. All right.
How many think bailout nightmare was the winner? How many think free market nightmare? How many think how to protect yourself and profit in 2015? Now here's one of the things. These geniuses in the Obama campaign, towards the end of the campaign, got together and tried to guess which email worked best. Room full of 18 of their best copywriters and strategists. They all got it wrong. Because here's the principle. If you don't learn anything, it's this. The marketplace is always right. You're not. So here is what happened in the open. The winner was not the one most people think, how to protect yourself from profit in 2015. The winner was bailout nightmare, your wealth is in jeopardy. But you don't know until you test. Then there's profiling and pursuit. And just very quickly, with email, with the servers like Constant Contact, you can see what people clicked on to be able to come to. With the website and landing pages, you can see who's been there. I look every day at our website, and I see, well, one of my clients is Humana, the insurance company, because I saw they went to our website.
They came to our website 30 times, and I said, I need to find the marketing director.
AAG with Fred Thompson, they're a client of ours now, because I saw they went to our website, but they never called.
They kept reading our articles.
But we knew they were there. So you make sure. Polls and petitions. Growing your list in a conversion series is absolutely critical. Then we've got mobile marketing. Here's the thing. You've got to think of how to incorporate this mobile marketing. One of my clients is a guy named Cafe, who's a Christian musician. Now, most musicians are starving. They go to a concert, they play, they set up a table, and they sell T-shirts and CDs. You don't make a lot of money. In fact, you're probably a good way of going broke. Well, he was performing at a Chris Tomlin concert, and 18,000 people. So here's what I said to do. Get out there and tell everybody to hold up their cell phone. And then tell them to text the number on the board.
Text their email.
Their email. Well, text the
email,
text the number.
And they generated the email and the text message.
And when they got there, they filled out for their email. We got their cell phone number for texting. He had the best, most profitable Christmas ever.
Because he built a
Most
database.
people
Yes.
are going and using the mobile. Everything has to revolve around how to do that. Native advertising, just real quickly. In the past, native advertising, Arthur will tell you, people hated it. Magazines hated it. Nobody wanted to do it. It was unethical. Today, you open up the Wall Street Journal and everything else, it's native advertising. It looks like an article, feels like an article, but it's a sales piece, and they work.
Yes. And we'll get into how you can apply that to direct mail principles too.
One of the key issues is conversion series. Setting up an automatic series that involves text, email, banner ads with retargeting, and direct mail, where once you have somebody who's a lead and they raise their hand, that you're going after them time and time again with a predetermined message that's consistent. So we have a time schedule that we set up, timing, to send to people for our clients. And like in the Jobs Act or any type of business, if you're doing lead generation, don't expect that investment or that purchase immediately. It may take 2, 3, 4 efforts, and don't rely only on your sales team. It's independent of your telesales. People avoid calls, people hide, people say things, but when they get this marketing material, you're going to convert them. I have one client, Jim Stack of Investec, $1 billion under asset management, all because he'll say the conversion series created the money. Then direct mail resurgence.
We need to speed it up.
Yeah,
so
I'm going to
direct
go
mail
fast.
resurgence.
So direct mail in an online world, it works. Most people think direct mail is so old it doesn't work, and they're losing out because direct mail can be the foundation of most marketing campaigns. There's traditional direct mail, which is an envelope mailing. And with the envelope mailing, there's strategies and techniques to an envelope mailing. People normally look at a letter first. They read the letter. What do they read first on a letter? Got different ones. They look to see who signed it. And then the first thing they read is the PS. 100% on the PS. So the PS has to get them into the piece. So there's all kinds of strategies involved on this. The letter is the most important part of your campaign, not a brochure. Envelopes, there's 3 different ways to do postage. That is a meter, pre-canceled stamp, and pre-printed indicia. The pre-canceled stamp will give 10 to 12% increase in response on a pre-printed indicia and more response than on meter, whether it's B2B or consumer. Notice the response rates here. The largest response rate was because of the letter. The letter is the most important part of the campaign. Then we have the Magalog. Caleb, you want to show them Magalog?
Sure. People that knew what Newsmax was, you read this magazine? Yes? Yeah? Well, a Magalog looks and feels like a magazine, but it's a sales piece. We can do, in these cases, these are 16 pages of content selling one thing. We do as much as 32 pages for some clients, extensively going into detail, almost like an infomercial in print. So we have some compelling articles about that product or service or that industry, and we go into depth and get the person excited. They feel informed. They feel educated on something. They feel that it's a valuable piece of information, not just a sales piece. By the end, we have an offer. And they say, well, I have to buy this. This is great. So whether we're doing a campaign under the Jobs Act to generate new investment into a company, or if we're selling alternative health supplements, we use these Magalogs to generate that new buyer. And
it's very, very, very powerful. It cuts through the clutter, especially in the business of business. Here is Surf Control. They had IT shut down during the last recession. Mm-hmm. And so the sales team at Surf Control couldn't get through. So what they did, they said, Craig, let's create a Magalog and let's go to the CEOs and CFOs and bypass IT. And so we created this Magalog, about 32 pages, that went to the top executives. So they picked up the phone to IT and said, how come we're not using this software? 2.5-year campaign, multi-million-dollar sales, because they switched over with the Magalog format.
Speaking of, but go back real quick. This is an A/B split test here on the right. Those were the two pieces that we sent out. How many of you think the burning dollars won? Yeah? Yeah. How many of you think the how an email joke cost Chevron $2.2 million? Yeah? Craig, do you want to?
Yeah, the how an email joke, the one that almost everybody votes for this one as the winner. The marketplace 36% higher,
Which is why we always
generation for that. Now, real quickly, a book-a-log is kind of like a Magalog, only it's a book, and it's it looks like a book, feels like a book, but it's a sales piece. The first person to do a book-a-log is a guy named Michael Gerber. How many of you read the E-Myth? The E-Myth basically said an entrepreneur can only take a company so high until they have a consultant come alongside to help bring it to a higher level. And he was a small individual entrepreneur consultant. He became a multi-million-dollar corporation, New York Times bestseller. We've done book-a-logs for B2B, for consumer. If you have a product or service, if you can say, I'm the author, I'm the authority in this segment, you all of a sudden have immediate credibility. And so we recommend that every entrepreneur have a book-a-log. It takes us 10 weeks to write a book for you. And you can become an instant authority people love to have you sign their book.
We don't have much time, so we're going to have to speed
so
through
it
this.
comes in an envelope, says book and close. Caleb's got a sample there.
Mm-hmm. And here's the book. There's also a sales letter, a response device, a value-added piece all inside here as well.
Three-dimensional pieces are also very powerful. Caleb, you want to show them the three-dimensional? This is when you're going to a small audience, and we usually get 10, 20, 30%. The highest response rate I got was 92%.
How many of you would open this if it came FedEx? Pretty much all of you. So this got a 17% response rate of financial money managers and investment analysts to come and review a company. They wrote about that company, they liked that company, they believed in that company, and the company did phenomenally well because we invited them to this event and listened to this presentation of this company that was doing all of this revenue, but nobody was covering it on Wall Street. So.
And this is sending scissors and how $1 can do the work of $2. Some really creative stuff can go into a 3D piece.
In this case, looks like a suitcase. We have a big piece here. We had a clapboard for...
Okay. Caleb, I'm going to have to move on before Greg shuts us off here.
Okay.
So I'm going to squeeze it in about 2 minutes and I'll whip through it. So direct response copy. I don't have time to go into it, but if you need to have these slides, we'd be glad to do it because this is really the foundation of success. And I'm not sure why we're not showing this slide, but you want to be able to make sure you don't have myopic marketing where you're too close to. You got to have one theme, be specific, be conversational, you-oriented, easy to read, have drama and surprise, and always use the FK, the Flish-Kincaid, where you have an 8.5% less score in order to be able to have success. And at the end of your copy presentation, you always ask yourself, these 10 questions, does it grab my attention right away? Does it recognize self-interest, pain, and fear? Do I recognize immediately a good value proposition? Is it written to me and me alone? Do I feel the writer cares about me? Do I feel the writer believes what he is saying? Do I believe the writer? And why should I invest now and not later? Is there an alternative? And do I feel safe and comfortable about responding? So as we end this, let me just say that, plus you have to have a good offer. So as we end this, let me just say that with the Jobs Act, we are so beyond excited about how entrepreneurs and small businesses and investment funds can grow because of this. And we don't have time to go over the differentiations between the two. Caleb would be glad to. Oh, okay.
Good.
And the choices that you have, you want to go only to the accredited investors unless you go into a more complicated formula under the Jobs Act. And the conversion rates are huge and unbelievable once you target and do the different marketing campaigns we talked about. So I apologize that we went over a bit, Greg, but that gives you a good idea of how to market.
There we go. Thank you very much, Caleb. I'm going to recap a little bit for you guys because I'm one of these guys that you guys weren't, unfortunately you couldn't make it down day one.
Right.
But it's like we stay on time.
Yep.
We keep on the clock, so we
yeah.
can do that. So let's give them a big round of a hand. Yep.